Oh, fish keepers, reef hobbyists, aquarists, whatever you want to call yourself. This is Mike from What Works for Me Aquariums. Thought I'd come at you today with a little bit of a product review. I've done this a couple of times, not super popular, but I thought I'd go ahead and do it anyway. Got a couple of products here I'd like to review, three in fact, and we'll go over each of them very quickly, or not quickly, but we'll go over them so that you understand what you're getting into. A couple of videos back, I made a video saying my water parameters were just fine, and somebody corrected me and said no, they weren't, that the phosphate was high. In fact, I think he said crazy high or something like that. I said, but they're only 2.5, which is in fact crazy high, so I was wrong. If you have phosphate problems, buy this. Roa Phos. Can you read it? A little glare there. Roa Phos. It's kind of a coffee ground looking stuff. There's not a lot left in here. I've used some. I used some of my 35 before it died, and I've got some now in my 13.5. And I'm not kidding you. You put this stuff in there, and about 2 days later, you have no phosphates left at all. Now, if the kind of person tries to keep some in the tank, this is not for you. Okay? You're going to figure out how to control it. Generally speaking, water changes are the best. And I want to talk about water change in just a second real quick. Just a quick little observation. Something I believe. But anyway, if you're having phosphate problems, right here, folks, right here. It will absolutely destroy phosphates in no time at all. Product number one. Product number two, ChemiClean. Now, I don't know if you remember back the 35 gallons started having red cyanobacteria, the red slime algae, whatever you want to call it. It's not really algae. But it started getting all over the rock and the gravel and so forth. Just typical. Okay. Now, I never had any of 13.5, and I'm very, very fortunate. Feel very fortunate about that. But the 35 picked it up, and so what I did use was this. ChemiClean is a powder. You mix it with water and put it in the tank, and let me tell you what. Also, I think it's a 3-day treatment or something. I don't remember exactly. Oh yeah, because there's something else you got to know about it. Successful treatment may take up to 48 hours. So you're going to have no red bacteria when this does its job. You have to do two things. First, you have to take out your ChemiClean, or your ChemiPure, rather, because it'll just absorb it. And the other thing you've got to do is really oxygenate your tank. Okay, so I got a little pump and an air stone and suck it in there and start it up and turn the water over at a high rate. Okay, they tell me it will pull the oxygen and actually suffocate everything in the tank if you don't oxygenate your tank very heavily. One way or the other, what you do, this works. I mean, it works. That stuff was just fell apart and floating around in the tank and crumbling into nothing in a short period of time, and you just suck it out and do a water change and off you go. So this is well worth your time and effort. At least it did work that way for me. I call my channel What Works for Me Aquariums because I'm telling you what worked for me. Okay. Remember my credo? What works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So don't like think I'm writing this in stone, folks. I'm just telling you what I see works, and this really did. So, and I appreciate it so much. So at any rate, those two products that I just showed you, Rolfos, ChemiClean, very impressive, worked very well. Okay, the last product. This is a Hannah checker. Now, when I discovered that my phosphates were high, the API kit goes from 0 to 0.25. Okay, that's 0.25. There's a lot of phosphate in between there. Okay, so what you need is something that's a bit more accurate than the API test. Someone mentioned that there was a chart or something. Maybe I didn't get one in my kit or something, but all I've got is a little color chart on the back, and it goes from 0 to 0.25. And it, my understanding is that phosphates shouldn't get much higher than 5 or so, 0.5. But one way or the other, you have a little in your tank, but not a lot. And I didn't know how much was really in that tank. Okay, so this is a far more accurate test. It will down to nothing. Okay, so it goes to 0 to 0.1 all the way up to whatever it can read. So there are a couple of things I didn't care for. First off, let me tell you, as far as accuracy goes, I think it is. And secondly, it is really convenient to use with a few minor exceptions. Now, exception one, have you checked the price? Okay, it's electronic. It's got a little battery in it. And subsequently, that's going to put the price up there. You can get an entire test kit with 4 tests in it that do 75 tests per kit test for $25 less than I paid for this. Okay, this is like 70 bucks. It's crazy. I can't believe they're that expensive, and probably shouldn't be. But if you're gonna want to go for the convenience here, then this is the way to go. Okay, now that's to me a bit of a drawback to the average aquarist. I was more interested in accuracy, so I went ahead and did this. But I actually tell you the truth, I'm not going to buy another one. They've got a whole range of them. In fact, you can buy a box that's got them all in it, and it's like 300 bucks. So I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Now, complaint number one, other than the price, complaint number one, this little dude right here, okay? This is your reagent, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The packaging is poor, and I'll explain that in a minute. But for $70, guess how many tests you get? 5. Count them, 5. Now I think, you got to be kidding. For what I paid for this, it should have at least 50 tests in it, if you ask me. Okay, now maybe there's a reason they didn't do it that way. I don't know. All I know is I think it's a little pricey, and when you get pricey, I want a little bit more than your average, test kit. I want something that's going to last me a little while. 5, really? So I had to go buy another box of reagent. It was 25 of them for $15 or something. You get them off Amazon or eBay. And anyway, so that was problem number one. Again, aside from the price. So then you've got, let me pull this, see if I can get it close enough to you to blur out. Alrighty. See at the top there, the little bitty tiny pair of scissors? So you follow that dotted line with the scissors. And what it does is it makes like a little funnel. Okay? And it opens it up. And when you open, I'm not going to open it up because it costs too much. So when I open, and not because I'm not going to use it right now. So when you cut that thing open, it peels open like this. Okay? And the powder is, hopefully, if you tap it a little bit, it's down in this one corner. All right? Now, sorry about the blur. So, then what you do, the first thing you do is you get your vial. It's 10 milliliters. You put tank water in it. You open the dude up, and you drop it in there. And you close it, and you hit the black button. And the first thing that pops up on the screen is C1. And that indicates that it read that vial, and it's ready to do the test. Okay, so you take it back out. Now something else you got to do is one thing you want to do before you put that in there. Make sure you clean the tube off and you don't have it's not dirty on the outside, and likewise it doesn't have any water on it. Okay, because it's going to read everything. So make sure you keep dry it and keep it clean, and clean the vial out periodically as well too, because that way you don't get a good reading. Okay. So once you've got the tank water measured and your mark is on C1. You take this little envelope, peel it open like they described, and pour it into the vial. Okay? Now, if you don't do this, what will happen, I'm sorry, I'm getting off camera, right there. Just fold the corner over, because if you don't, when you go to pour it, it'll hold it away and the reagent will go out here. Maybe it's just me, but all I know is I found that and I wasted a couple of envelopes of reagent trying to make this thing work, and I didn't realize what I was doing wrong. So I went ahead and, once you've peeled this back, okay, and then this is peeled open, you just tap the reagent into the vial. You shake it for 2 minutes. This has got a countdown going. You drop it in here, close it, and you hold the button down. Don't just touch it. Hold it down for a second, and then it'll say C2. And when it's C2, it starts a counter. And in 3 minutes, you get a test. Okay? Sounds a little complicated. Not really. And again, I'm not kidding you. So far as like drop from API, or this drop and that drop, and shake it for a couple of seconds or a minute or whatever, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. It doesn't, none of that's necessary. It just, you put it all together, put it in here, and bang, you get your result. Again, to me, for the price, more of these, folks. And quite frankly, I think if I were Hannah, what I would do is I'd put this stuff in a capsule. That would be simple to dump it into the vial. Maybe it's not an option. I don't know. All I know is that's how I think it would work better. And again, you're talking about a price here that I think is, to me, a little exorbitant. It was worth it because I found out what my phosphate level really was, and I enjoyed using it. However, I'm not rich, and this is not the poor man hobby necessarily, but at the same time, you can do things that'll budget you, and you can do things that'll help you get along without spending $1 million. Because I mean, let's face it, there are yet other more expensive versions of these things, and so you can spend a lot of money if you want to. But this and again, I'm not knocking it because it works good, but I thought there were some little glitches that were to me unnecessary. Anyhow, I'll shut up now. So that's the 3 products I wanted to review for you today. There's going to be another video coming up pretty soon regarding water tests. What I've done is I ordered a Red Sea Foundation kit. It's 3 water tests in one. It's alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. Now I don't have a magnesium test yet right now at all. Okay, so I'm going to get those 3 in one box for $50, and it has 75 tests per test. So you see what I'm getting at here? Okay, anyhow. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show all the tests, show how they work. I'm gonna API, Fluval, Red Sea, Chem, all that stuff. We'll put them all in HANA. We'll put them all in one little video, and I'll sort of go over them, and maybe if there's some tips or hints, I'll throw them in there. But one way or the other, folks, thank you so much for dropping by. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to subscribe or click like. Comment, please. I don't mind comments at all. Constructive only. Somebody says something dumb or tries to get mean, I'm going to just block them off the thing. But it doesn't make any difference. I'm not here to argue with anybody or anything else. But I do want information. The reason I do these videos is to hear from you as much as you're hearing from me. I'd love to have people say, hey, listen, Mike, there's another way of doing it, or this is a better way, to maybe you're just making a mistake here. I'm into that, okay? Constructive criticism is always welcome. As always, thank you for dropping by. This is Mike from What Works For Me Aquariums.